Real Housewives of Atlanta, the reunion 17, episode 19, part 2. Okay, so pretty much where we had left off with that whole thing with Shamia versus K Michelle, because it was like some things happened off camera, and that off camera stuff is what has drove the rift in their relationship. So it's not necessarily within the group, okay? So we kind of go through it just a little bit because it's a lot of back and forth going on, okay? About how we knew that they had hung out at some point at some little club, jamming, hanging out, and K Michelle just trying to say that Shamia keeps saying just keep every time she around her, just all the time, just keep reiterating that my friends over here is telling me not to be friends with you, but I want to be friends with you, and at the same time I demand a little bit of loyalty from you in this friendship when it comes to the ladies of the cast. Okay, so the second friend group, all right? So with K Michelle, for her, it's like, it's okay, so maybe like the first time, okay, I feel, a little bad for or something, so let me root for the underdog. And then, second time, it's like a red flag coming up. And then third time, definitely all the red flags is flagging. So she like, yeah, you're doing all of this, and this is what jaded her whole outlook on all the ladies when it comes to Portia and Drew and all this other stuff, because it was always a plot against her. But where was this plot coming from? The people that's not on the show. Okay. So with this whole back and forth, we do drag the mamas in, and unfortunately, because it has to do with the mamas, I guess Shamia mama happened to be there when they was hanging out, and she was trying to, I guess, help Shamia in whatever friendship which had with K Michelle, and basically K Michelle was just saying it was not helping at all. Your mama was in there talking mess, trying to be holier than thou, but in the club twerking with us, okay, or wait, and calling Portia a whore at the same time, or no, not whore, a Jezebel, okay. So of course there's a whole bunch of faces. Oh Lord, who, really? He from Phaedra, from Drew, from Angela. Angela getting her couple digs in here and there when she can. Cynthia did come out, so she just sitting there chilling, kind of just waiting on her moment. And Kelly is sitting in between Kay and Shamia, right? So she's kind of like the middleman here, she don't want to be, because she happened to be there at the club or whatever when it happened, but she didn't want to give all the information, obviously, because she's trying not to be in the middle, even though she is, because we need somebody to at least bring some kind of truth to this. But basically, like I said, what we're getting from this is Kay is just upset that Shamia was filling her head with all this crazy confusionness. So when she get here on the show, she can't even get to know none of the ladies the proper way because of what Shamia did, which Portia calls it manipulation, okay? You're doing this to keep her on your side and keep her against us, okay? So with this whole back and forth, like I said, Kelly ended up jumping in it, but when she ends up jumping in it, now she's attacking over there at Angela. So of course they're going back and forth about the, sell a house, get a house, you homeless, what business you got, and then from there, it's basically this couch versus that couch, because then she threw the whole, well, everybody broke over there, everybody ain't got no mortgage or something weird like that. And of course we know Phaedra got her house and her name and her bills, okay? Drew, we know she's looking for a house, so technically she kind of is right on that. Angela, okay, she lived with her husband, they got a house. Cynthia, Lake Bailey, yep. Portia, we already know. Simon left that, whatever, he left the house to her, yes, whether it was in debt or not in debt, she got it. So that whole back and forth, they just going whatever. Let's move on to the next thing. So what else is going on? Boom, 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 boom. Y'all enjoyed the song. It was cute or whatever, that EDM, whatever, rave music. That's kind of cool. I think, is that what her booby doing down in where he from, Amsterdam? Is he a DJ? I'm not too familiar. Maybe he's some kind of artist. But anyway, that was her song. And we did hear it on that, I believe, that finale episode when they were going to the party, or introduction to the party was something like that. And they played it. And I was like, yeah, that does kind of sound like Cynthia. So this was definitely confirmation. We got us another Atlanta banger. But anywho, Pinky's package, okay? Pretty much when it comes to Pinky, the whole time, all she talked about was filing for bankruptcy, blah, blah, blah. Filing for bankruptcy, I gotta do bankruptcy or whatever, right? So I guess we kind of didn't really get a whole bunch of to know her besides, her little financial woes. We did see her family and all that stuff and her kids. But that was like her main focus, was how she was saving her company or preserving her company and things like that, buying back her company and going through all her, ups and downs of owning her own restaurant and all this stuff like that, and doing it all by herself. For, mind you, because her husband does his own thing, and they try not to, cross paths when it comes to that. So, the ladies, and maybe some of the viewers, I don't know how everybody felt about this, but definitely the ladies was feeling like, well, you ain't really taking this too serious, like, it's like you keep bragging that, ooh, I got this, but then at the same time you crying because, oh no, they just took this money out of my bank account. I don't even know why. Like, what's going on? So it's, like, we don't think you should be like celebrating the bankruptcy. We don't think you should be, right. And for Pinky's side, she like, well, I'm not going to be sad about it. Okay, I did this literally, and I did it to protect her assets and protect other people, and other investors and things like that, because Phaedra was trying to bring in, like, you're losing other people's money and all this type of stuff. And, like Phaedra, or not Phaedra, but Pinky said, that's what the whole bankruptcy was for in the first place. It's to fix all the wrongs that the people that she done set up to help her manage said businesses and messed up, point blank. But in the midst of it, she wasn't going to be sad about it and use it, twist it into a positive way, right? As basically use her as an example for anybody out here with their businesses, big or small, and you going up and down in the financials. Think about Pinky. Think about what she went through, okay? Like, it's okay. You'll get out of it, okay? I don't know. Angela ended up jumping in it because at some point she was going to file herself, but she ended up not doing it. But it is what it is. I agree with Cynthia. Like she said, it just got a little confusion. That's it. Because we don't know, right, is you broke or is you not broke? Because the way you acted, we're not too sure. And that was just kind of the whole PSA thing was just like, listen, just look at me and say you can do it too. Okay, Pinky, sure. But when you come back for next season, everything should be all aired out and straight with your businesses. Now we got to get a little bit more down to you and in your friendship with the other ladies besides just like Shania or Kelly. Because, let's make friends with Portia too and Phaedra if you can, and maybe Drew and Angela if you can. Now listen, this is just a little side note because maybe Pinky know Tasha K. Because we all know Tasha K filed her little bankruptcy to save her little monies and assets and businesses and things of that nature, so she had to pay people. So maybe she, got a little advice. That's all I'm saying. Just a little side note. Pinky, you might not want to be saying too much on the TV right now. I already know why Andy asked you that about like, when you list on the tax forms, and all these type stuff when she got to do her IRS type of stuff. Yeah, Andy, why you have her on the TV? So I ain't gonna repeat it, but don't be, we ain't trying to get her in more trouble or in more debt than she already is by lying. Okay, we know how it works. You got to be truthful on them things. All right, so we get a few little apologies to Pinky. One from Kelly because, she said she saw her eating meat. And she said, okay, I figured it out. She goes to the steakhouse, but they have a special vegan menu for her. So she's not actually eating the real meat, steak. It's probably like mushrooms or something like that, how they do. And then Shamia was like, oh, and then, me and Phaedra had a miscommunication of words when I thought that you said that she ate meat when she owned a Jamaican restaurant. You just saying that she served meat. Okay, so apologize for that. And then when it comes to Phaedra, she like, well, Pinky never apologized to me about saying that I eat people or whatever. Remember she said that? Well, Phaedra eat people. I'm like, what? Who we know Phaedra don't do no shit like that. But she said I ain't gonna apologize because some stuff that happened before they even got to the show, because I guess they've known each other somewhere previously. And in the midst of that, something happened. Okay, they didn't necessarily say what it was, but something happened. And with that is how Pinky was like, well, I ain't messing with Phaedra like that because of whatever happened. With that incident, Phaedra, or Pinky is accusing Phaedra of going to the bosses, okay, the higher ups, in the words that they use, to, put the kibosh on Pinky coming on the show. And of course, Andy was like, well, I know that she ain't ever did that. Like, she ain't ever called me or nothing like that or called New York. So, but that don't mean that she ain't necessarily called nobody else, Andy, now. So let's just be real. Let's just be real. But, just trying to have her back a little bit because, of course, they got history. And Pinky being new, nope. If you ain't Andy friend like that, you got to, give yourself some time. All right. But, and then, he'll get you. But give yourself some time. But anywho, they had their little riff and Pinky can let everything go because, I ain't going to hold on to stuff for too long. But that's just kind of what happened, and that's how we got our little riff because she was trying to, go behind my back and put the cut on me, and that's just not nice. And of course, Phaedra, what she said, she actually didn't. To me, she kind of admitted without admitted until Andy said, "Okay, well, he believe her, but do we believe that either?" Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Just having her back just for the sake of it. But either way, we move on. Oh yeah, and then she got over that whole thing with her and Angela, and especially with her being pregnant, she really ain't gonna be holding on to that stuff like that with them ladies. In your lesbian relationships, of course, they gotta talk about the gay stuff for a quick second because Pinky was with a girl at one point in her life. But anywho, yeah, she didn't need her husband to help her bail her out. Like she explained, it was like not combining him and all her stuff. She didn't need to, basically. That whole movie thing that she was trying to make, she did find somebody to pick it up. We just kind of got to wait on it because the ink ain't necessarily dried on the contract, but it's in the process. And of course, we had to get on Drew because you showed up for a while at this audition knowing that you wasn't really going to audition. And of course, go through the whole thing where it was for her, it was supposed to be support. Pinky, it was, girl, you was putting some shade, trying to put my stuff down. And for Drew, it was like, well, I am a real actor. So you got to go through the protocol. We call my agent, call the agency, let them, call you and your peoples, and then, the schedule and all that, whatever. It didn't happen. So that's why she didn't audition. Okay, whatever. Anywho, yep, and then we're gonna take a break. Okay, so in the break, we kind of find out that Portia done took her own little lie detector test, okay, to try to prove Shamia and Kelly and whoever else wrong. And is we gonna really use this as evidence? I have to think about this. Okay, so the whole thing with Shamia and George and Angela, like I don't even know why she even brought this up because it's not, it doesn't make you look good at this point, girl. It is, you are a liar in this situation. Just because if you say something that you believe and you know it's not true, that's a lie. No matter how you try to spin it and roll it and put it in a box or a ball and give it to somebody, girl, it's a lie. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. All the other ladies, they're not speaking up for her, but in the moment that it was happening, we all just kind of saw it like, girl, this is landing flat for you. And then once we actually talked to George and Ashley, when they came on the camera and they came to the party and asked them what the heck was going on and was you sleeping with her and all this stuff, confirming, no, I never messed with her. They met back in the day on some work. They worked together on some stuff with another partner or another friend of Shamia's, fundraising, stuff like that. He happened to donate some money. And the way that he said the comment, oh, well, what'd he say? I give her money. She good for the money. Something like that. Angela thought, oh, well, that mean that he gave her the money and she slept with him for the money. Girl. Liar, liar, pants on fire. I don't know. Like I said, she could try to spin it any type of way she wanted to, but you're not. And then Drew, why he even go ask Drew about the name? You try to say that Angela was validated in her response or in her, what she was trying to, her whole stance on George and goddamn Shamia. Shit, too many fucking names. But for Drew, yeah, she feel like her friend was validated in the moment because he actually confirmed that that's what he said. So for that, but like, I don't even know why Andy even asked her that question because, yeah, he don't even believe in him himself. Like, this is all falling flat. And then out of here come Kelly coming back at Angela, basically telling her, yeah, girl, how do you not see that it's not a lie? Because it is. And with this, going back and forth. Well, you need to, you be talking about my husband. Oh, well, girl, I don't care about Charles. Well, girl, go get a husband. I had a husband for whatever years and all this stuff, but guess what? I ain't have a baby to do it. So, of course, everybody was like, did she say that? I mean, she did. Okay, so the Angela, when it comes to her, look, damn it, I don't kind of forgot, but when it comes to her versus Kelly versus all that crap, you know, people coming for her husband, basically. Okay. The main thing here would be Portia, or not Portia, but Shamia and Angela. Like, when Angela joined the group, which was what, last year, she actually tried to befriend Shamia, but because Shamia was, you know, talking a little mess and all this other stuff, that's where the rift and the tide kind of changed. And then remember that whole thing with Shamia confiding in Angela, so-called confiding in Angela, telling her about Portia and their business going on. And then Angela went back to Portia and telling her, oh, well, this is what Shamia said and all this stuff. So that's what made Portia mad and all this, you know, so it kind of drew that whole other rift between them. So it was like, well, if she don't want to be cool with me like that, then I guess I'm just going to have to get, you know, we just going to have to just be where we at. I'll meet her where she is. And that's where we come to, that little tit for tat, the little blows for blows. Sure, that's where we are. And she's only doing it because she can, basically is what she said. Like, because basically what she said, somebody asked her about, was that Pinky question, was about her and Portia versus that whole thing when Portia said, well, I fucked Charles or something like that, like, you know, if I wanted to. And of course Angela was mad about that because of course you don't say no shit like that. Like, bitch, what? Now I gotta watch you or some shit all the time? Because what? If I, like, for real? And of course they apologized, or at least Portia apologized about it, and they had moved on from it. But in the confessional, she keep calling her, you know, I know Portia going after people, man. Ooh, I know Portia this, I know Portia doing that. Of course. And she like, I'm just gonna talk about everybody in my confessionals because I could do that. All right. It's my confessional, it's my time. And all y'all was talk about me, I'm gonna talk about y'all back. So it's just a tit for tat when it comes to Angela. That's just kind of how I see her playing this whole game. And that's not really how you want to do this. That's all I'm just saying. Like it's your second round on Housewives, I believe. I think it's pretty much Shamia, Kelly, Angela's second round. Yeah, third round, girl, tighten it up. All right, don't be doing these lies, making up stuff. Like that's some Giselle shit. Just coming out your ass and saying some bullshit. And she's annoying. You don't want to be Giselle, so don't do that. Yeah, so this whole back and forth about talking about each other husbands, it was annoying, and thankfully Andy got annoyed with it to put the kibosh in it, like, because we're not getting nowhere. This whole back and forth, you said, she said, y'all talking about my husband, you said this, but you said that, and blah, blah, blah. The whole bottom line, mostly, at least for Shamia, was, listen, I work with the NBA and the NFL and all that stuff, right? You saying this type stuff, that I'm sleeping around with all these players and things like that, not a good look. You saying it on the camera. So guess what? Ooh, a whole bunch of people is watching this. So guess what? They gonna go to my job and say, well, guess what Shabia doing? Do. Rumors start rolling. Now the owners and the managers, should she be working here? Should she not? So now, what I'm saying? Her job is gonna come into question. So that's the whole part where I think Angela, I mean, I don't know if this was your whole point of trying to get somebody fired or not, but defaming somebody's character, okay? Like, she honestly could sue you for this. Like, she did the whole restraining order thing, which was only to, I guess, keep Angela from speaking about her job and in NBA and NFL and all that whole hoopla stuff like that. It's just to keep her quiet on that end, but she probably should have just went out and just sued her for just defamation, like you lying, and then she actually probably like get that little chunk of change out of Charles there, and then we can leave it at that. But anywho, once Andy put a little kibosh on that whole back and forth because we ended up dragging Portia into it again. And of course, we don't want to do all that, which I was like, Shamia, why are you going to do that? Like, what? Talking about you being in it. Girl, she's trying to stay out of it is the whole point. So leave her where she at. Like, y'all got other stuff that y'all got to handle outside of this. It's not going to get handled here. So just leave her where she at right there. All right. And from here, Shamia do her apology to Angela, okay? Angela, you accept it? All right, I do. Angela, you want to apologize to Shamia because you could be costing her job. Like, this is not like, we can joke about all the other stuff. Like, I mean, hell, say that Gerald is cheating. If she keeps saying, Charles outside, we'll say Gerald outside. Can we do stuff like that? That kind of tit for tat. Because nobody would get in trouble for it, right? Okay. But then again, I don't know, maybe Gerald forgot, the reason why he probably don't really want to be on TV because he don't want to lose, you know what I'm saying? Niggas got jobs, niggas got money, niggas work. They ain't trying to lose that shit. So hopefully, because Angela tried to give a little backhanded apology because you can't put no butts in it. Remember, when you apologize, don't put the butt in it. Just apologize and leave it where it's at. And that's what they did. Now listen, if Portia gonna be trying to take a lie detector test, why we ain't just call Maury? Because if anything, I'm gonna believe him versus whoever she just hired. But anywho, the whole lie detector test is basically to prove if Kelly was or was not messing around with a so-called pastor, I think, married pastor from Atlanta, Houston, or Las Vegas. I don't know, but here we go. All right, so the lie detector determined that Portia was telling the truth, okay? So, of course, we asked Miss Lawyer Phaedra, like, is this admissible in law in the court? Because I'm like, I don't know if this is necessarily valid if we can hold it for truth like that, unless it is in the hands of the law. Okay, fine. And of course, we know that some things it does work and some things it doesn't. It does not, depending on what the case is about and all this other stuff like that, right? But in this case, it's just the Housewives world, and Portia's gonna stick with, I'm telling the truth. Kelly is a liar. Kelly messing around with whoever this married pastor man is, okay? So of course Kelly is like, well, whatever, I don't care about that test. That shit's fake or whatever. Who cares? They go on a whole back and forth now. This whole argument because Phaedra knows who the man is, right? So Kelly like, well, girl, and he's a client of yours, supposedly. I'm a client of yours. Don't you think your shit already had been a little question mark or some questions coming to be like, well, hey, do you know such and such? And maybe, da, da, da. But instead you just went to him and said, oh, well, hey, do you know such and such? And what? And of course, who knows what he told Phaedra? Who knows what he told Portia? He ain't telling the world what happened, so we don't really know, okay? Who telling the truth or who not telling the truth. They're not going to say his name. Client privilege, well, at least Phaedra can't say it. She didn't bring it up, so it's good on her, because she can lose some shit. It was Portia who did it, so this is all on her. So like I said, in the midst of this whole back and forth, we do bring up a name of someone, but of course we're bleeping them out because they're not part of the show, and nobody want to get sued and all that stuff for bringing up people that I believe Kelly is trying to say, well, this is the main reason why Portia mad. Is this person that Kelly might have had messed with, and maybe at some point she's just trying to say it, and maybe he had, or she, but had dealings with Portia at some point, so maybe that's why it's a little bit of friction between them. I don't know, but of course, what I'm saying, because they said his name enough times, and of course it perks Portia up a little bit more, because for her it's like, okay, when you're naming names, right? Well, then keep on naming some more names, because then we gonna drop. We get closer, just go ahead and drop it. So of course she ain't gonna say it. This whole back and forth, and then here go the credits is rolling, because I'm like, oh, it's the end of the episode. We do got a part 3, which we will get through the rest of the reunion and finish this whole Phaedra versus Kelly, Phaedra versus Portia versus Kelly, Portia versus Shamia, because of course now Portia hollering at Shamia about, well, you need to be hushing your mouth, because I know what you was doing too at the same time. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. Here go Andy. Yes, hush, guys. Come on now. Can we move on? Can we stop? Let's put a kibosh in this, because now we ain't going nowhere. We reel it back in. And that's where we're going to kind of put a pin in it on part 2. We'll catch up with the next one. And we'll see how we end this one. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of rifts in this group. Not a lot of coming together, but at least we got a little bit of understanding. And we'll finish it off on the part 3, right? Yep, part 3. Oh, yep. So thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.